happening? What's happening? It happened.
Come on, then. What? How about you?
When does this happen in the movie?
Now. You're looking at now, sir. Everything that happens now is happening now.
What happened to then?
We passed then.
When?
Just now. We're at now.
Go back to then.
When?
Now.
Now?
Now.
I can't.
Why?
We missed it.
When?
Just now.
Take it off, dickhead. I'm serious.
Richard, what's happening?
I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Your tiny Jesus, your golden fleece diapers with.
Hey, what do all those movies have in common? We're probably not talking about them right now. Welcome to the 43rd edition of the Countdown, where me, JPO, and a special guest count down something usually involving the world of movies, and today it's definitely, well, movies, because it's our favorite films of the year, 1999. Of course, as mentioned, I'm JPO, Jordan Crusoe, joined here today by Ant-Man Antonio Chavez. Ant-Man, how you doing?
Pretty good. I know I kind of pretty much forced this on you, but I was just in a mood, man, to talk 1999. And obviously this is your show, but I really want to be part of this kind of just this kind of like format, and just got to be part of it.
No, absolutely. Anything special about 1999? I know that seemed to be the one you jumped to. So,
Early middle part of my childhood. I just saw. I'm sure we'll discuss it later, but there's a movie I just saw recently that's from that year, and I don't know, just got me in the mood for 1999, like right at the turn of the century. So yeah, just was intrigued by it.
Yeah, some good stuff this year. So it'll be interesting to see, what ranks where for everybody. And without further ado, Ant, what you got for you just got some honorable mentions, and give us that number 10.
All right, so I'm obviously gonna just ignore all the hate that I'm sure I'm gonna get, but this is just how I feel. So my honorable mentions, number 15, I got South Park: Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. I love the movie. I just don't feel like it should be top 10, but definitely a movie I enjoyed. I did not watch 1999. I watched it later, but when I did, I was surprised how much they got away with in that year, especially because all this bullshit. But yeah, that's definitely an honorable mention. Next up, 14, 10 Things I Hate About You. As much as I love Heath Ledger as the Joker, I gotta say this is probably one of his other top 5 roles for me of his. Love the rom-com-esque parts of it. Love him singing Just Too Good to Be True. I always love that scene. 13, and this is still my favorite Kevin Smith movie, Dogma. I never can get enough of that movie. I'm surprised again. I couldn't believe this actually came out in 1999. I feel like it's still kind of relevant today. But yeah, still my favorite Kevin Smith movie. Number 12, and I keep seeing a lot of stuff about this movie on Instagram, and I'm like, this movie, maybe it might be higher more times when you watch it. Eyes Wide Shut, Stanley Kubrick's last film. I think it's Tom and Nicole's last collaboration before they got divorced, and it's just a mindfuck of a movie. So I always feel like it's very enjoyable. Number 11, in my opinion, it's a very underrated comedy. I can understand people don't like it, but Bowfinger. Frank Oz directed. Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy. That's what I'm saying. Steve Martin, Eddie Murphy, they're two geniuses, but it's never talked about enough. So I just wanted to give it a shout out because I think it's a very, very underrated comedy.
Yeah, not on my list, but I got love for Bowfinger. It's on the cusp.
Yeah, no one talks about it much. I mean, the title, okay, whether it's the character's name, but it's just a hilarious movie. Maybe it's not for everybody. The humor's kind of like a little bit too.
Yoda directed it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I watched another Yoda directed movie recently too. So maybe that's also what brought it to mind for me. And so, pretty much kicking off my list for top 10. And you know me, I'm a sports guy. No, you're not a sports guy except for wrestling. But my number 10 is For Love of the Game. Kevin Costner, Sam Raimi directed, although you would never think it's a Sam Raimi film. Baseball takes place in New York, obviously. And the funny thing is, it's all against my Yankees, but I could care less. I think it's just a really cool, like, just down to earth baseball movie. I mean, obviously, I know Field of Dreams is better as far, but for me, I just felt like this was a very cool, modern, not as campy as Field of Dreams, or like not as emotional, but it just really resonated with me. Pretty much like a veteran on the last year of his career, and just the romance of it kind of you get swept up in. And there's actually and also is a romance movie too, but the romance of just baseball and like how your career's like dwindling down and you're just kind of like ended on a good note. I kind of get a little bit corny and but I feed into that. So especially as a baseball fan, and so yeah, that's definitely a good place to start for me as a top 10 sports movie. Something it's always a good comfort movie for me too. So that's definitely my number 10 for Love of the Game. So curious to see what your top 10 would be starting off.
My only problem with that movie is, as a trivia player, I wrote down For the Love of the Game, and I didn't get the point. So fuck that movie for not having a the. A the makes sense, but whatever. Yeah, Exact Trick is one I haven't seen. So yeah. And you made a lot of good movies here, and this shows us this is actually a really good year because there's movies both on the honorables and even past the honorables that like I have love for. Like you said, both are my number 20, but I really like it. But on my honorables, right on the cusp, Toy Story 2. I love it. It's a great sequel, but it's on my honorables, man.
Okay.
Man on the Moon, some Jim Carrey love. The second of at least 3 that he got snubbed for that Oscar nomination because he is so fucking good as Andy Kaufman. Very multi-layered performance here, and it's a really interesting performance too. He might have went a little cuckoo bananas to do it as well. Number 13, again, this like pains me to say, Galaxy Quest is right on the cusp. I know I'm angering you. It shows you how good the year is, but yeah, another fun movie that almost has I've come to respect in different ways over time too. Because like even as a kid, it's just like it's a fun movie. Later on, you get kind of the meta stuff of superstardom and like the cons. It's a pretty early film to show a con. You know what I mean? Yeah. And the cast is great too. Big Daddy, as a big Adam Sandler guy, Big Daddy's another great Adam Sandler 90s film. You start to tear up when the kid says he can wipe his own ass. It's a funny film. One that is, I think, also pretty rewatchable. I did it within the last month or so. It was a good watch. And also on the cusp, I think we're actually in agreement on this. South Park is also on the cusp for me as well. The only real South Park movie, they've done kind of like longer specials. This is the only actual movie they've done. And it's great. It's a lot of fun. And again, sometimes maybe ask me, 6 months to a year from now, some of those honorables might very much be in the 10. But for now, we're kicking off number 10 with Being John Malkovich. I like me some Eternal Sunshine. This is from the same screenwriter, Charlie Kaufman. I love his scripts. I think his scripts are crazy, but unique and introspective and just good things. It's also directed by Spike Jonze, who had an interesting year. He actually co-stars in Three Kings. He's actually like a good little actor as well sometimes. But then he directed this here, and he's a big music video guy, so he has a lot of flair. There's just a lot of crazy weirdness of going inside somebody else's mind. I think it's one of the better Cameron Diaz performances you'll find too. She's pretty good in this. Even like a small part from Charlie Sheen. Yeah, this is a fun, wacky film that kind of set the precedence for at least for me as being like a Charlie Kaufman fan. Simple. I probably didn't even know it was a thing until years later, even after Adaptation, which I love. I still don't know if I knew I was a Charlie Kaufman fan or if I just liked these weird movies that I'd find out later were linked. Well, what do you got for number 9?
For number 9, going again with a sports movie, and it's definitely a lot more, I would say, iconic. Any Given Sunday, Oliver Stone.
That's what I thought your 10 was going to be when you were talking.
Yeah, a football movie. It's not my favorite football movie, but as far as 1999, I'm gonna say this is the football movie, and I'm pretty much one of the only ones. But as far as like in the precipice or like in the form of football movies overall, I would say that this one's pretty revered. I just love it just because, the only thing keeping it from being higher on my list is that it's a little bit too long, but it's just a great movie all around. Gets you to see how football really is. Greatly directed. I know you saw JFK recently, so you know how Oliver Stone is. So therefore, he puts the same kind of effort in just showing how football is, how coaching is, legacy. Jamie Foxx is great in it. Even LL Cool J, who I was like, he's not really that great of an actor, but in there he's great. Got my boy LT from the Giants in there as a cameo, but still has like a bit of a good role.
Lawrence Taylor?
Huh?
Is LT Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah.
Okay,
Lawrence Taylor.
WrestleMania main eventers. That's the only reason I know who that is.
Right, and then also he worked with Sandler, so I'm sure you know him from that one.
That's true. He's in Waterboy, yeah.
He's in Waterboy. So, just great cast. Dennis Quaid, Chino, Another Cameron Diaz is also in there. She's also, I mean, she did better in.
Yeah. Good year for Cameron Diaz.
Yeah, no. But yeah, definitely a good football movie. And yeah, I think that's it for sports movies for me. But yeah, that's my number 9.
Unfortunately, another blind spot. I have no reason why this is a blind spot. Just maybe because it was like R-rated and might have had like a boob in it. Like my parents wouldn't let me see it when it first came out. But I've been meaning to these last few years. Yeah, because I've heard other people kind of sing its praises as well, and I love that cast. And Oliver Stone's pretty good. My number 9. Hey, my sports movie now on the list, and it's one I don't think you had the points for on clips. Beyond the Mat, the documentary. I've always loved this movie here. In fact, it's a movie that, like, again, just like, I would say, obviously, they're acted out, but like Iron Claw, Fighting My Family, it's just a really good movie here. Even if you're not a wrestling fan and you're like, whatever, if you just want like a really enticing story, it's another one to go to here. It interviews several different people throughout it here. You get a little bit of Mick Foley in his kind of like maybe final year of wrestling and, the toll it takes on his family here. You find a little bit about Jake the Snake Roberts and some of the harrowing background he came from. New Jack, who's a crazy character. You get a little bit of New Jack in there. The clip you saw on the clip show was from a rival little indie company called ECW trying to, come up with Terry Funk. There's the great, Dennis Stamp, who's, the wrestler that hasn't booked in years, but he still has hopes that someone's going to call him. And it's just a lot of great stories, really well made. Like I said, it's theatrical pro wrestling documentary that came out. They got exclusive access to like the WWF locker room suits. There's some really cool stuff behind the scenes with Vince McMahon, who maybe we won't be able to talk about soon because maybe I shouldn't have even brought that name up. But it's some cool behind the scenes stuff that you don't really get to see much of. And they got really good access of stuff. And it's a really cool documentary I've seen many times. What do you got for number 8?
For number 8, you mentioned this movie before, and I gotta preface this by saying this is my favorite films. When this movie came out, I was 7, and it's also the first of this particular actor's films I actually ever saw. I'm pretty sure, even though my memory sucks, I'm pretty sure this is his first film. So my number 8 is Big Daddy. So, yeah, Adam Sandler. I've never seen like Happy Gilmore. I've never seen all those other stuff. The first movie I'm pretty sure I saw of his was Big Daddy. So obviously maybe just for nostalgia purposes, but I laughed my ass off even then, I was 8 years old. Maybe I identified with the kid, I also had, I had older brothers who were around, Sonny's age and Adam Sandler's age. So I was like maybe trying to like understand that dynamic a little bit. But yeah, just it always stayed with me. That movie is always good to enjoy. Even now, I get the jokes even better now because I'm older. Again, the fact it's in New York. Just anything, obviously, New York has, I'm kind of biased. Anytime that anything's said in New York. But yeah, just overall, just really great. I feel like it's still underrated because it can be very emotional. It's almost like how Click can be kind of emotional for Adam Sandler fans.
I have Big Daddy in my low top tier Sandler.
Mm-hmm.
It's top tier, but it's bottom of the top tier, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, because honestly, he's funny throughout the whole thing, but there are some times where he's emotional, and you kind of like don't really you can take it seriously. You can actually understand.
I'm not kidding. When the kid's like, "But I can wipe my own ass," you're like,
"Yeah,
come on, man!" It fucking gets you.
It's meant to be fun. Yeah, it's meant to be funny, but it still gets you. It's a kid, and this is a father figure. Like, come on, it's still. That was cool about Sandler in this movie. Like, he was able to make everything funny, but still inject a nice, good shot of emotion in there. So. That's why I feel like it was worthy enough to be my number 8. So yeah, I would be curious to see what your number is.
Surprise of the night. Anyone that knows us is good. I know. I was gonna say surprise of the night. You have Sandler higher than I do. No one knows in that coming.
That's why I was like, what?
But I'm right though. We are sticking with comedy though. I guess I laughed a little bit more. I love Austin Powers, the spy who shagged me. I love this trilogy here. I love what Mike Myers has done. I think this is my favorite of the trilogy here. I just think it has the most laughs per minute. I think it just has the most laughs per minute here, man. I love Heather Graham in it too. I think she's kind of perfect as this Bond girl, Powers girl now. I think you have the best stuff between Dr. Evil and Scott. Seth Green. There's another reason between this and like Buffy is why I love Seth Green. And Can't Hardly Wait also. And yeah, I just think it's got the funniest gags. It's got the funniest characters. Yeah, I really, really like this one. This one had me balling as a kid. I think it's still a pretty fun watch to this day here. good old Austin Powers.
I was debating putting this in my honorable mentions. I was just like, I don't know. I don't
See,
think
it's good.
It's good, but all right. But no, I respect the choice.
What you got for 7?
For 7, and this is when I was surprised you even put this in your honorable mentions. I thought it'd be in your top 10. Galaxy Quest. I can't like this is a movie
so
where,
close.
at the time I was like, because all right, my dad is 83, so when I was, when this came out, he was still an old man, but he found this funny, so that kind of like resonated with me because this is kind of like a Star Trek, like you said, it was like the cons.
Yeah.
But just like everyone all together was just a freaking hilarious movie. Like this is a movie I can enjoy with like my family, like even my mom, got into it, and just Tim Allen and Alan Rickman was great in it. Sigourney Weaver, just a lot of people that were in it. Tony Shalhoub also he's actually underrated. Sam Rockwell, I don't think he was famous. Really got famous at the time, but everyone was just like on point. I can't really think of a weak link at all, casting wise, or anything like even choice.
Very early, Justin Long, yeah.
Yeah, Justin Long, and I'm just like, I failed to see a weak point in this movie, so that's why I just feel like it was definitely still one of my top favorites. I would always see it. That's another comfort movie of mine. And obviously, I lean more towards Star Wars than Star Trek, but I can understand what they're trying to do with this whole like kind of fandom of like, Star Trek fans and how crazy we can be, how nutty we can be, and yeah. So I can always be happy watching this movie. So yeah, number 7 for me.
Definitely a great one there. For my number 7, kind of in the action realm-ish, The Mummy. Good old recent Oscar winner Brendan Fraser. Another guy kind of that I grew up really on a lot of. Blast from the Past. This man. Rick O'Connell, just going into action, a good blend of, kind of my Indiana Jones, to be honest with you. For me, this is what was in front of me growing up. This is my Indiana Jones as far as like as a kid, because this is the trilogy I love. Well, really, this and the sequel. The third one's and a little later too. But this and Mummy Returns, I just had a lot of fun with here. I think they blend the action and the humor very well. I think you have a great caster. Him and Vice, I think, have some fun chemistry. You have Oded Fear, who I kind of thought would be a huge star. His character is actually supposed to die in the first one, but after test screenings, they're like, "Nah, let's do one more scene where he's like, I'm okay," like so they can put it in the I think the effects at the time were fine. The Mummy Returns has some really bad rock effects. Remember how the Scorpion King looks at the end of that? But yeah, I love The Mummy. Another just big rewatch. I remember it was something like that the whole family could get into. Really good, like PG-13 without crossing the line movie. So The Mummy comes in at 7. What's your 6?
Number 6. Okay, so I have a funny story about this, and I gotta give it respect, but it's still my top 10. But I guess it's over the years where it's kind of been getting more respect by me personally. So I'm gonna go for number 6, Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Obviously, you know me as a big Star Wars fan. Obviously, it's not higher because even though I'm older and I get to see it from a different perspective, I just don't feel like the film, obviously, it can hold up, but just still has so many things wrong with it. But as I got older, I also see there's many things that are right with it. The funny story is that I actually the first time I saw it, it was in theaters. I was with my brother, and I got scared at the end, and I actually made him take me out of the theater because I was scared of Darth Maul. I have no idea why to this day. I just know I was 7 years old. Maybe
he kind of looks like the devil. So
right, he looked like the devil, and my brother was mad at me for freaking making him take it because that was like the best scene, him fighting Qui-Gon and all that stuff. And I don't even remember if we saw the rest of the movie. I think he probably hates me for that, but he always rubs that in my face, like, "Hey, you got scared during the end of Star Wars Episode 1, and I missed the whole rest of the movie because of you." So that's why, like, again, for nostalgia purposes, I'm always gonna have that story where it's like, damn, I think I ruined Episode 1 for my brother, and I got freaked out at 7 years old. But it's more, again, it's still a Star Wars movie at the end of the day. Again, as I got older, I do respect more aspects of it, but I still think it's obviously it had so much more potential. But it's still part of my top 10, and I feel like it fits in right at 6. So curious to go where your number 6 is from there.
Did you see Saltburn last year?
Yeah, I skimmed it. I was a bit too freaky of a movie for me, so I don't know if I could really
You skimmed it?
Yeah, I don't know. I only skip. I can't really sit down to watch movies like that if they're just too. I don't know. Like
It's a weird one. I was just saying, there's one underlying part of Saltburn that I think kind of borrows a little bit from this movie that I have number 6, the talented Mr. Ripley, Anthony Michaela's movie. Just in the sense of what someone would go to kind of get what they want, once become somebody else. That's why there's a bit of a comparison there between that and spoilers, kind of how Saltburn ends. But yeah, this one I think it just shot really well here, and again the leading performances. I think Matt Damon's really great. Good year for Matt Damon, 1999. And yeah, like Jude Law, just the guy that he's takes along this kind of kid that he kind of he's harmless, maybe not quite so much. And Gwyneth Paltrow's really great. Smaller role from Philip Seymour Hoffman. And I just think the burn of this is just so good, so nice and twisty, and I really dug it. Talented Mr. Ripley. There's a sequel. What do you got for number 5?
Number 5. Well, you already mentioned this movie, and I gave it a little bit higher. The Mummy. So for me, this is as someone who loves Indiana Jones, I did love how this was like a modern take on it. And the funny thing is, one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, Uncharted, I feel like borrows more from this than Indiana Jones. As far as like gunplay and just like that cool adventurer style. Obviously, it's more influenced by Indiana Jones, but I feel like the Mummy's are also a low key influence on it. And yeah, I love Brendan Fraser as Rick O'Connell. Like you mentioned, the whole cast is just great. And even though it's I forgot his John Hannah, I believe that plays the brother. He's a low key.
John Hannah's so good.
Yeah,
he's great. I love John Hannah.
Yeah.
Which is funny because he's such a piece of shit in like Spartacus. If you ever watched Spartacus,
yeah, that's the only other thing I heard him that he was in when he was in Spartacus. I watched Spartacus like the first season and then I gave up. I always remember.
I love actors like that. He's fun because like the aloof brother, and then like you really wanted to die in Spartacus.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's always he's just a good decent character actor, and he's always just funny with this one and all 3 of them, and just like the whole Arnold Vosloo. Underrated villain. Obviously everyone knows Imhotep, but I knew him as Darkman because when he took over for Liam Neeson, he took over for Liam Neeson, and then he became this, and I'm like, this is what made him famous. So I was like, he had that untapped potential as an actor, or like a villainous kind of like dark actor, and I was like, oh, he finally got to really just practice it and really let it loose on the Mummy. So I thought him versus Fraser was a really cool arch nemesis hero kind of thing. So yeah, that's why I gotta give Mummy number 5. And
nice.
Yeah, definitely got to see where you go from this because I'm taking yours. So
we're in the top 5. Well, and speaking of taking one another's, I kind of like that. Some of your honorables, I think I took. Some of my honorables you took. Because I'm taking another honorable of yours. We got Dogma coming in at number 5. One of my favorite Kevin Smitty films. Love me some Kevin Smith here, and this is one of the reasons, man. This I think I saw Mallrats super early, before I could even really digest what the fuck I saw. And then I want to say this was probably the next one. The first one I feel like I could actually kind of digest a little bit at 10 and 11. And then we'll continue to watch it over the years, getting even more and more into the plot of it here. I think everyone kind of seals the show here. Lynn Ferrantino's very good as kind of the straight person. But, I mean, Jay and Bob are funny. Running to Chris Rock, the Ninth Apostle. Know him. He owes me $20. Alan Rickman again. Hey, good year for Alan Rickman. Another guy that had 2 bangers in 1 year. But just a very unique tale here. Again, there's not a lot of films that I can even really compare it to. And again, speaking of is that Matt Damon back to back? Yeah, it is Matt Damon back to back. Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, I think, are fantastic as Loki and Bartleby. I mean, I kind of want a prequel series of what they did before this. I just kind of want that series. I'm much older now, but I think this movie is unique, a lot of fun, funny as well, a thinker a bit, and Alanis Morissette is also my god. So number 5 was Dogma. What do you have at number 4? Almost there.
Well, 4, again, going back to my childhood, man. And there are times where I wonder I always go back and figure out where this ranks in this franchise. My number 4 is Toy Story 2. At the time, I think this is still in a way, story-wise, and just more emotional moments. Again, there's always gonna be a bit of an argument. In a way, I still think it's better than number 1. only because I just feel like, again, you got the great song "When Somebody Loved Me." Jesse's great. Joan Cusack as Jesse's great. Bringing in Zurg, bringing in a little bit of Star Wars flavor in that little joke where they're fighting on the top of the elevator, him and Buzz. Wayne Knight as Al. Again, bringing back the whole cast, but then bringing new people that just blended in flawlessly. Kelsey Grammer as the prospector. But yeah, again, just same amount of laughs, maybe even a bit more, and just that injection of emotion that really just hits you. And and I think it was also just a great setup for Toy Story 3, which I think is way better. But I mean, for 1999, Toy Story 2 was a great sequel, and yeah, definitely something that really resonates with my childhood. So, wonder if your your number 4 is something animated, but I don't know. We'll see.
Not animated, but get your hickeys out because you might need one. The Green Mile, I got at number 4 over here. One of my favorites of all time, Tom Hanks. Again, this is such a beautiful performance by R.I.P. Michael Clark Duncan. People on Through the Green Mile, Death Row. Hey, speaking of people that had a good year, Sam Rockwell also in this. It's a good year for Sam Rockwell. Kind of, I guess, probably breakout year, I would imagine. Doing this in Galaxy Quest, and he gets to show like 2 different varying performances as well. Just a heartbreaking, very long, but it's one of those movies where even though I feel the length, I don't know what I would take out. Like I can't really complain because it's also good. The relationship between him and his wife. I want to go with Bonnie Hunt. Bonnie Hunt, yes, got it, nailed it. Bonnie Hunt, the stuff with Michael Jeter and the little mouse. Doug Hutchison being such a shitbird, everything works here. Like you can tell, it's based on a book because there's a lot going on with all these different characters. David Morse, who I kind of miss. I feel like I haven't seen much from David Morse these last few years. But just beautifully told tale. Another great Frank Darabont film. Coming off Shawshank, and really great stuff here. So Green Mile at number 4. You're in the top 3 now.
So for my number 3, and you mentioned breaking out your hankies, and for me, I was like a little bit sad at the end of this movie. My number 3, and I'm still sticking with animated, The Iron Giant, a movie where I feel like everyone wants a sequel to it, but I feel like if it was left alone, I'd be totally fine with it because it's one of those movies I feel like was perfect. Again, emotional, but also has its funny moments, has even its cool action moments. Like, think about it. I mean, I was 7 years old and seeing him go freaking evil, like evil Superman style on the whole army, still one of the most badass moments I've ever seen. And just him being playful with Hogarth, and then Jennifer Aniston also was good as the mom. You might love this guy. What's his name? Christopher McDonald as the freaking asshole agent. Just because of
Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, right. He's gonna be an asshole again. So I was just like him. Just his voice just fits that so well. But yeah, everything was so good. The animation is great, and just Vin Diesel. Obviously, I mean, he doesn't have much to do, but he just like he does with Groot, man. He doesn't have to say much, and he just emotes very well for a robot. But like, it's just one of those movies that you can just think of. And it's just like one of those things where you just go back on it. You kind of wish there was more to that story, but like you still love it the way it is. If they didn't make anything, no prequel, no sequel, no TV series, you'd be like, okay, that's fine, but you'll still want more from it. So yeah, I'm confident Iron Giant being number 3 for me.
Very nice, very nice. I think I need to rewatch this because I do have it decently lower. So I think I got to rewatch it because I know people have love for it, and it's been literally forever since I've seen it. My number 3 here, one of the most talked about movies of the year, but I think rightfully so. I love it. The Sixth Sense. I see some dead people on my screen here. Yeah, this is that word of mouth movie, man, that just kept going to the point where even like my mom, who doesn't really like keep track of things, was like, I think we gotta rent this thing because everyone's fucking talking about it. And I think it works, man. I love the burn. I love the creepiness of it here. Even before you get to the twist, I love the stuff with the little girl getting sick, who's a young Misha Barton, by the way. Haley Joel Osment. My God, I actually just saw Artificial Intelligence for the first time this year.
Oh wow!
That little kid is such a good fucking actor. And this is another reason why. A lot of people forget kind of a horror queen in a way. Toni Collette is the mom, who's been a horror mom a few times between this Hereditary, Krampus, and Maybe I'm missing something else, but she's been a horror mom several times. Kind of an underrated scream queen in a way. Yeah, man, I love the slow burn, of the mom, with him in the car, maybe trying to believe him because she loves him. The Bruce Willis arc, unrecognizable Donnie fucking Wahlberg at the beginning shooting him, and then the realization too, and it works. If you somehow have avoided the twist, watch the movie because it pays off if you have avoided it, which luckily I was, because I do think it does add to the fun when you come to the realization and you're like, oh, and then it's one of those fun like, oh, and then that's because of, oh, and this is why earlier, and everything about it creepy. And for M. Night Shyamalan too, because this being his first like really big major film, he had done like one small one, and then like a Rosie O'Donnell like movie, and then this, really making a name for himself. And like I think this is like the movie. Signs is pretty good. People are mixed on Village, but I feel like this movie is why people still like will give him a chance every time, because there's greatness in him. Unbreakable's pretty good. So yeah. Sixth Sense coming in at 3. What's your number 2 of the year?
Number 2, so this is the reason why I wanted to do this whole show, and because me and the fiance just recently watched this, she thinks this is Edward Norton's best performance, Fight Club. So this is my number 2 for 1999. So we really just rewatched it like a couple nights ago, and I'm just like, yeah, man, this movie is really just the epitome of a mindfuck, and it's just like, but just an amazing movie. We were even like talking about, I was like, it's still relevant today, like, and yeah, I think the fiance was like trying to tell me this is his performance, and I'm like, yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I think other performances they should be given, respect, but this is Edward Norton's best. Brad, he's also on point. You got Meatloaf in there. But watching him in there, I was just like, what the hell is he doing here? But he did great. Jared Leto, I think before he was kind of like a star.
Jared Leto.
He's getting there. He's getting there, and just overall, man, as a movie, I think it's just a perfectly made film from beginning to end. The meta humor that's inside it, all the cute little twists, and just like things where if you pause it, you can see Brad like they were having fun with that. But yeah, just a great movie overall. One of David Fincher's maybe top 5, and it's kind of hard. It's one of those things also that can just shift on any given day. But David Fincher has pretty much him at the top of his game. So yeah, that's my number 2 for 1999. So what's your deuce?
Hey, let's drop another deuce here. Another just talked about film, one that I think everyone saw that year. The Matrix comes in at my number 2 of the year. Good old Keanu Reeves. I know Kung Fu. Another one that it's such a fun build of the world here. You know what I mean? It takes a little bit of its time of showing this guy just having a mundane job, and Morpheus, you've got a choice. The 2 pills is a great little concept thing. And then the world that unfurls, and the action scenes and the iconic way that it's shot here. Carrie-Anne Moss, Lawrence Fishburne. Yeah, it's such a great first watch, and then you can even find fun in it later on when you kind of piece together kind of what they're going for. And the sequels a little bit less, but I love what they started with this first one here. I think it's great, and it's my number 2 of the year is The Matrix. We're at the very end here. Ant-Man, what is, in your opinion, your favorite movie?
You just mentioned everything I loved about it, because my number 1 is The Matrix. So it's pretty much got the ability, big genre I love, from sci-fi, action, obviously fighting. This is Keanu, it's weird to call him a breakout because he actually had some stuff before, but this is where I guess he almost had his pre-Keanu sans, because I don't know, it's just more like this is where he really became like the one, this is the role that he's most known for. And then obviously now you can argue it's John Wick, but you can almost argue if it wasn't for Matrix, we wouldn't have John Wick, because then he made friends with Jack Stahelski, and Jack Stahelski wanted him for John Wick. So yeah, man, Matrix just an original idea, so many freaky moments in it, around it, beyond it, and same thing. I agree with you. Like the sequels I like Reloaded a lot more than people usually do. Revolution's the only good thing is the ending fight, because it reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. But otherwise, yeah, the first one is just where it starts. I always have that moment in the first one where when he finally when he goes into Agent Smith and he blows him up, and then he's all healed. And I just remember my brother turning to me and he's like having a Goku moment there, because you see the bubble around him. to me, maybe now I'm like it makes no sense, but I understand what he's trying to talk to me at that moment because I was 7 years old. He knew I loved Dragon Ball Z, and he's like, that's him, like almost like powering up a little bit and just being all healed and like and I wants to go kill the other two agents. So that's one of the things where like me being young and just having my older brothers show me that movie is just gonna stay with my childhood. So yeah, it's my number one for 1999.
Well, funny enough, for 1 and 2, my friend, we just simply flip-flopped because my number one was Fight Club. This one I didn't necessarily grow up on. It was a few years later that I saw it, which I think probably worked out for the best because then I could kind of comprehend it a little bit more than if I had it like 10 or 11. But yeah, no, it's another one, man. First of all, I found out just from the community and like talking movies, reviewing movies, listing movies that like evidently I just love David Fincher. I like it a lot. I love the game. I love this. I love Zodiac. Yeah, he's got a really good filmography in my opinion. And this is another one here, man. Again, just the world building they do here, the concepts, the performances here. Again, I think I'm just a sucker for these performances here. Edward Norton, I think perfectly casted. Brad Pitt as the showier part, perfectly casted here. You mentioned some of the smaller parts, really well done out. Even when they're smaller parts, in Leto or Meatloaf. Stuff with Helena Bonham Carter, beating the shit out of himself in The Office. The ending, I think, also really works here. I think it's got like a crazy, beautiful ending that's unique and cool. And yeah, it's a movie that just has stuck with me, and I love the look of it. I love rewatching it, and yeah, it's Fight Club comes in at my number one. And if you want, go over that 10 again. What were your 10 favorite films of '99?
So starting number 10, For Love of the Game. Number 9, Any Given Sunday. 8, Big Daddy. 7, Galaxy Quest. 6, Star Wars Episode 1, Phantom Menace. Number 5, The Mummy. 4, Toy Story 2. 3, Iron Giant. Number 2, Fight Club. And number 1, The Matrix.
Very nice. And my top 10 of 1999. Brought to you by Letterboxd. Follow me at JP Owens. J. Owens. Number 10, Being John Malkovich. Number 9, Beyond the Mat. Number 8, Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Number 7, The Mummy. 6, The Talented Mr. Ripley. Number 5, Dogma. Number 6, The Green Mile. Number what? 5, Dogma. 4, Green Mile. 6 Sense. I think that's how I fucked up. 2, The Matrix. And number 1, Fight Club. Yeah, year of '99. Yeah, good year, man. I mean, you mentioned 10 Things I Hate About You. We got Office Space. We got Magnolia. Analyze This. Bowfinger. American Pie. Yeah, so it was a pretty cool year. A lot of fun movies that came out. Ant-Man, any plugs or parting words?
No, just happy that you had me on here, man. I know it was kind of impromptu, but just glad to be able to, talk movies, man. It's always fun. I will have something to plug soon. I will actually announce it on your channel because you've always been so welcoming to me, and I feel like this would be a cool place to possibly debut it. So, and it's actually something that the fiance kind of like gave me an idea for. I'm just trying to like make it a little bit more unique. So, maybe start here on YouTube, maybe TikTok as well. So just stay tuned. But definitely glad to be part of this show, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely, anytime, man. Yeah, if you want to do another countdown, just let me know. Always glad to have you. Popping up on here, trivia, all that fun jazz. So, yeah, look forward to that announcement. Like, subscribe. If you didn't like it, tell an enemy to subscribe. And Ant-Man loves you more than you'll ever know. Good night. Wave to the audience.